What is going on, Clippers fans? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 69 of Clips and Dip, and we've immediately lost William Updike. I guess we're going to keep this going because we're 12 seconds. Oh, there he is. He's back. I am Chuck Mockler, joined by Adam Oslin and William Updike for most of the pod, as well as our favorite French-Canadian reporter, Justin Russo. Justin Russo is here. Thank you for being on the pod, Justin. We are Clips and Dip. Hopefully your favorite Clippers podcast or Clippers talk. We're coming at you once a week. You can find us at youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast or anywhere you get pods in general. We are talking trade rumors today. We're talking dips. Justin, did you bring a dip?
I just want you to know I woke up from a nap 30 minutes before this podcast, ran out of my house, and bought a dip. So you're welcome.
Wow! Hell yes!
This is like an advertisement for the new Superman movie. Well, let it move.
I mean, I think it classifies as a dip. You guys will have the final say.
Well, a lot of this pod, the last
you guys have stretched the rules a little bit.
It's really kind of been dedicated to debating what a dip is or isn't. Will and Adam, how are you guys doing on this incredibly hot Friday evening in Los Angeles? Will, we'll start with you.
I'm doing good. Yeah, having some weird computer issues, so sorry if I'm coming in and out. But I think we got it figured out. I'm hot as hell, as you can probably tell if you're watching this over on youtube.com. That's at Clippers Podcast. Getting real sweaty over here, but I got a dip. I'm ready to go. I'm feeling good, man.
Adam, how about yourself?
You babies, I ran 5 miles earlier indoors. It is a little bit hot, but luckily I live in a brick house. So it doesn't get as warm during the winter as I'd like, but during the summer, it's not too bad. It stays cooler. So I'm doing okay.
Okay, well, I'm going to come back with some other architectural thoughts on your apartment next week. We will leave that for next week. Today, we are talking trade rumors. It is not even it's the Clippers offseason, and there are rumors flying. A lot of fans seemingly disconnected from everything that the front office has been talking about over the last year, probably. I think that's one of the reasons we should talk about the trade rumors. So the three names basically are LaMelo, Jrue Holiday, and a classic. Now that Miles Turner has hopefully crossed off the list, John Collins now occupies the number one trade target for Clippers fans to want to get. Justin Russo, you're the guest. Which of these three would you like to dispel or just discuss first?
The Jrue Holiday one is very weird to me.
Yeah, why?
His contract is the main reason. I don't think he's a player. He's a player they would look at if he's on the market, which he will be. The majority of the Celtics roster is going to be on the market. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of. Well, the majority of them would have been on the market anyways, even if Jason Tatum never gets hurt.
Right.
But
their tax bill's like $400 million.
Yeah, it probably funds a small country at this point. So, yeah, it's great. I just don't get the Jrue thing anymore.
Is it because he's 35 and has 3 more years left?
It's the years more than the age, but also it is the age too. And he's just not a good shooter anymore. Health-wise, he really hasn't been great as of late. He did make all defense I think it was 5 straight years, but he missed out this year because he didn't hit the games requirement.
Sounds like a future Clipper.
Look, now I'm sold on him. So, just because if he's not going to be on the floor, that's a Clipper right there, baby. But no, it's the years. He's literally got $32.4 million next year, $34.8 the year after, and a $37 million player option.
That's not an option. That's not an option. He is taking it. He'll be 37. He's taking the $37 million.
There's the Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo running joke that Ryan Russillo always does, which is, breaking news, he's picking up that option. And that feels like he's already picking that up 3 years in advance. It's a lot of money.
For a guy who might be hurt too. And the main trade pieces the Clippers have are, I guess we should level set that, right? Like Norm and Bogey, because they're not getting rid of Zoo.
Yeah. Maybe Dunn in there. Yeah,
Like
I don't know.
Eric.
I don't know. It's a move that made sense in previous years of Drew Holiday with where he's at right now. I think that's a tough road to hoe, man. Especially especially like, the years it just doesn't line up. It doesn't line up as well as you'd like.
People would be furious too. Like Clippers fans would not be excited about this.
Some might
Could you talk
on
yourself into it, Adam? Could you talk yourself
star
into it?
power.
I could talk myself into it, but I would be like, there's a lot of the odds are stacked.
Is this
against
a
them.
John Wall shooting 39% from three situation? Could we get there?
God, I thought I was the receipt master, but you guys always bringing that up.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that later because that was great what you put out.
So I think there's a scenario where, depending on what they gave up, it could make some sense. But I still think it's a long shot because of his age, because he is going to take that player option for $37 million when he is 37. And he has been in this league for a while. I know he had some injuries early on, and it seemed like he was going to have a shortened career. But since then, he has been more reliable. So there's a lot of tread on the tires, a lot of long, extended playoff runs. He has won 2 rings. I mean, he's a great guy. He's from Southern California. I love him, but it's probably 2 years too late to bring him in at this point. That's what it feels like to me.
The other problem being that we haven't talked about is like, how much do you want to give to the Celtics too?
Right. Yeah. Here's Norm Powell.
Like,
team
why
that
would you
shoots a bunch of
why
threes.
would I mean? Obviously, next year is like a moot point, but beyond that, why would you want to potentially give them anything of value, anything that could help their team, other like outside of a salary dump? And even that helps their team.
Yeah, that's what the Celtics angle is, right? If anything, they're looking to just shed salary. How do the Clippers make that happen? Is there a significant enough move? Because
Norm.
what I saw was like $4 billion they could save by trading what Norm and Dunn and maybe Jordan Miller or something like that. Is that enough for Boston to really be enticed?
Probably not. Like, unless they really believe in Jordan Miller.
Well, how much does that lower like the luxury tax bill and stuff? Because then maybe
Yeah,
I don't
if
know.
that lowers it by like 2, that's why we traded Eric Gordon, right? Because Ballmer didn't have to pay an extra $200 million or whatever it would have been on the taxes.
By the way, can we talk about how stupid this is that we have to even factor in, oh, how much money does this save people on luxury tax for a trade?
Yeah, let's get revolutionary, dude. Talk about it.
Remember when we used to talk about trades in sports and it was like, oh, does this trade make sense from like an on-court or on-field? Now it's like, does this trade make sense because it could save them like $37 million in luxury tax? It's so weird.
And
Sports
the
is dumb.
aprons, have you considered the aprons?
it's I hate it. I hate everything now. I'm just an old man who hates everything. Like, it's so stupid. Like, I'll start looking at like in the next about week, I'm gonna put out an article about the types of players the Clippers could possibly look at for trades. So it's very funny that I'm on here talking about, oh, I wish we could go back to it, like, because I'm gonna write an article about like how much money teams can save on stupid crap, and it's just like
You're making millions off this system, Russo. You can't rail against it.
Sure, I can, because I'm old and I'm cranky all the time now. You know, it's hot, so I'm sweating and mad. Like, it's the Jrue Holiday thing on the court. Jrue Holiday makes sense. Simple as that. They need they could use another guard that could kind of defend multiple positions.
More guards.
I know fans hate the 3-guard thing. Guess what?
Yeah, welcome to hell, people who hate that.
Like, I don't know, just resign yourself to the truths of the situation, you know?
When we get that 4, that's like a Jokic stopper, forget about it.
Sir, we had him. His name was PJ Tucker, you know?
That's true. Very true.
Hey, listen, PJ Tucker stopped Nikola Jokic on a last-second shot in Los Angeles. Can't say the same for the rest of the 24-25 Clippers, unfortunately.
Yeah, they didn't even stop him on a first-second shot in Los Angeles.
Pain.
The other my favorite part of the Jrue Holiday rumor is that I was trying to look at where it came from, like what source, and all I got was a league source called
Trust me, bro.
Mass Live that the Clippers are going to make a play. So like I don't, no disrespect to our Massachusetts Clippers contingent who might listen to this show, but Mass Live is a very funny name for a place to start a trade rumor. I don't believe it at all because it's from that spot. Okay, now LaMelo.
So I will say, money wise, Norman Powell and Derek Jones for Jrue Holiday works just money wise. It also saves the Celtics like $2 million. But I don't
Are you
know.
going to give up Derek Jones with that contract?
I was going to say, I don't know why you do that if you're the Clippers to add more money in an extra year. I don't really get that.
He's the one guy under 30 who's really athletic.
Listen, I think Jrue Holiday has one of the greatest step back. The Jrue Holiday's hop back, step back three at the top of the arc is so good to watch.
We are Jrue Holiday fans. I don't want to also I think he's a great player, but we're not trading the youngest, most athletic guy who gets any time for an old guy who will probably be hurt.
Is that worth $35 million when he's 36, 37 years old? I just don't know. I mean, maybe it is. I mean, we've seen the way players, so I don't know.
If you're doing a deal with Dunn involved, then you can sell it as he's a better version of Chris Dunn because of his shooting, and that makes some sense. But he's older, and the contract is problematic if you're trying to have as much money as possible for 2026 and for 2027, because he's going to be on the books with that player option till the summer of 2028 because he's taking it.
And he better be 4 times or 6 times as good as Chris Dunn. How the contracts work out for that, right?
I mean, Norm and Chris for Jrue works. It's just now we're getting into the conversation of if you're the Clippers and you do that, is that worth cutting into? You're likely going to be over the luxury tax, and you've already said on the record, one of these next 2 years you're not going to be in the luxury tax to reset the repeater penalties, which obviously they should do. I know
you were at the Lawrence press conference, though, the exit interview. He said, we're going to have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception to use this summer.
Yeah.
That tells you they're going to be under the tax this year, right? Unless something crazy happened.
Well, they would have it regardless. They would have it regardless because they were under the tax for this fiscal league year. So, like when the league year ends,
when does the fiscal year start for the NBA?
It ends July 3rd, or I'm sorry, June 30th. So that's why.
Okay, so it's start. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're under the luxury tax right now. As long as they don't take money to get over the luxury tax, which technically they can make trades right now. So
yeah.
As long as they don't do a deal that ends them over the luxury tax before July 1st, then they'll have the non-tax mid-level. But anything that they use on that, you become, if you use any amount, I believe it's if you use any amount over the taxpayer mid-level, which I don't know. I don't remember what the taxpayer level is this year. It's like probably like 5.9 or something. Then you become hard capped at the apron. So it's like you're going to be hard capped regardless. So why, like, if you trade for Jrue, you're just going to be in the luxury tax. It's really just that simple.
And I like the point that you made, though, Adam, like from kind of, which is like the theme for like, I feel like the segment a little bit is like from everything the front office has said, is it quite literally, unless something crazy, they've said the GM version of, unless something crazy happens, we're kind of chilling at this spot right now.
I also don't love the idea of using one of your best trade chips, if not your most realistic best trade chip in Norman Powell on Jrue Holiday. I would rather use that to try to bring in some front court help or just a younger player in general that can maybe grow into the next era of Clippers basketball.
Speaking of someone who grow into the next era of Clippers basketball, William Updike, should the Clippers attempt to make a trade for LaMelo Ball, a rumor that was started by his own brother and then perpetuated by Lou Williams?
By the way, great segue, Chuck. That was incredible. Well done.
Hey, we've been doing this for 50 years.
That's why they pay you the big bucks, Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
You love LaMelo's game.
Let's completely pivot on what got us to 50 wins. Let's do another about face like the front office did at the time of the Russ signing is what I want from this offseason. It's the only thing that I really want from this offseason. I mean, like, what do you want me to say? LaMelo, the injury stuff, Very, very troubling. Has he played less games every single year he's been in the league?
Let me look. What do you mean? You're worried about a point guard who you're worried about their broken ankle and their hurt wrist?
Yeah, I was gonna say, and the wrist is he undergoing like a double surgery, a 2-for-1?
Yeah, he got a twofer on April 2nd.
They're switching him out, actually.
Does he get a discount?
Switching him from the wrist to the ankle. Yeah. He probably. Well, I think the Ball family. I would hope that. So that's actually quick pivot. How does that work? Like if LaMelo Ball, if they go to their own doctors, because I'm assuming there's a team doctor who they're like, we'll do the surgery, but like say Blake Griffin or Kawhi is like, I want my guy to do it. Who pays for it? If they go to their guy, is the team like, you got to pay for this shit? If they go to their guy,
Straight cash, homie.
The team pays for it, I think.
Okay.
I would think the team still pays for it.
I mean, I don't know.
The billionaire should foot the bill.
Well, I bet
in
in the
this scenario.
WWF they don't. So, like, I guess that was my point. I totally agree that the team should pay for it, but I just wonder. I bet it's a pain in the ass. We've all tried to get. I had a lunch receipt comped at our various places of work. Imagine trying to get your third ACL surgery comped. They're like, again.
Justin, how are you feeling about LaMelo Ball? I know he has 4 more years left on his contract, but given the injury history like we're talking about here, but also high potential, high upside, my position's
Some
kind of
youth.
been,
I'm not mad at some youth.
yeah, I think the Clippers at some point are going to have to take a big risk. If you're going to be able to get a young player with high upside, there's going to be some major flaws. We've talked about Kuminga. We'll get into more of that. But LaMelo here, what are your thoughts, Justin?
No. Like, I don't mean to be blunt, but like,
is that the whole article?
Like,
big capital size 72 font.
Just don't get me wrong. Like, I get why people find him exciting. I just don't think. Here, I'll put it to you this way: for as much crap as Kawhi Leonard gets for not being on the court, over the last 5 seasons, he's played 22 fewer games than LaMelo Ball, and he missed a whole year. Like,
yeah, LaMelo Ball had 47 games last year and then like 33 before that. And I think
this is also the only reason you can get him. Like, otherwise, they wouldn't be in the hunt. Like, you're going to have to accept some risk.
Sure. I also just don't know how much people have actually like people aren't league passing in on Hornets
I love the
games
Hornets, bro.
On February 3rd to watch them against like the Pistons or something. Now, granted, the Pistons,
are good. Yeah.
I'm not crapping on the Pistons here.
You know ball?
Do I know ball?
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, by the way, I'm actually still annoyed that the Pistons-Knicks series ran on the same nights that the Clippers-Nuggets series ran. So every time we're in the arena, like even in Denver, we're just sitting there in the workroom trying to watch Pistons-Knicks because every game was like on crack. And It's like, oh, Clippers-Nuggets is starting. We're like, great. Gotta go watch this. But like, no one's pining to watch Hornets games in the middle of February, Like, but
you're saying that the idea of LaMelo Ball is maybe a little more appealing than the.
Yeah, I just don't get me wrong. I think he can be a positive player. You look at certain metrics out there, he's been a positive player, like a positive impact player. Nothing about his game has changed in his 5 years in the NBA compared back to high school or even overseas. Like, it's the same game. It's a lot of stuff that looks cool and flashy, and then you watch. I can't get the thought out of my head of like, I watch him on defense and I'm just so annoyed. Like, there are certain players you watch on defense where you just get mad. And at one point this year, early in the season, he led the league in total fouls.
That's
he was
crazy. Okay.
He was fouling out
insane.
He was fouling out of games as a point guard that doesn't even play. How is that possible?
Right. So you're just purely playing bad decision defense at that point.
I led the league in 2 categories: field goal attempts and fouls.
There was a stat from some ESPN article like a month and a half into the season that was like, oh, when teams are running pick and rolls with LaMelo Ball as as the guard defender, the ball defender, they were averaging like 1.4 points per possession. Like, what do we do now? Granted, okay, the Charlotte.
Well, this is a
Hornets,
new era for the Clippers in this scenario. This is the era
That's right.
of
tickets,
no defense,
and
ticket
just
sales, no defense.
TikTok
Let's do it.
hoopers. Like, what are we
Mhm.
doing?
Do you
Yeah.
think even if they wanted him, they could put together a package that would even entice the Charlotte Hornets?
Yes,
like,
because I
what
don't
if
think
the
the Charlotte
package is-
Hornets.
What
don't
if the
think they're-
package is bottom of the barrel? Like, what if you're talking about Harden and DJJ, maybe one pick, and like it's bottom of the barrel package because there's no other suitors?
They're not giving up a pick in that deal. They're giving up the best player. Why would you give up a pick with the best player?
That's true. Because you're desperate for a new
DJJ?
era of buckets. Yeah, Derek.
Yeah, Derek. You know, like I get it. Okay, the Charlotte Hornets, they were terrible. They had a lot of injuries.
So
they had
that-
a lot of weird stuff. But
There was
come
a
on,
funny
man.
thing because I was looking, I was like, oh, what do the Charlotte Hornets need help with that the Clippers could offer? And I was like,
Everything.
everything. Okay, great. Like Norman Bogey isn't the craziest package.
Their center has no feet, apparently, according to the Los Angeles Lakers. So they just need everything. Like I said, okay, he's still very young, but LaMelo. I actually had a conversation with Jamal Christopher and Justin Wilson about this at a Clipper game. My whole thing came down to LaMelo is the player you don't want on the first or second contract. You want to be his third team. Where like the first team is like, okay, he's had injuries, but we kind of should move on. The second team's like, hey, we'll take a flyer. The third team's the one where it's like, hey, maybe he's learned something. And then like, you know, like he's understands why he's here. And I don't want to sound mean like I'm crapping on the guy. I'm not trying to. It's just I don't think his style of basketball is conducive to winning in this era of the NBA right now. And now the counter argument to that would be, well, have you seen Tyrese Halliburton? Like they do play in a lot of similar ways to some degree.
Sure.
But also, and yes, the Pacers have a lot better team than the Hornets, but also Tyrese Halliburton, I think at least has a contextual understanding of like, we're not going to be good at defense, but I'm still going to try somewhat. And I just haven't seen that from LaMelo at all. It's really just depressing to watch at times.
When do we
Like,
even
those still be-
have like do we even have the right combination of players around him to even like extract what his skill set is actually good at?
Yeah, like Kawhi and Zoo. Like I don't see
Like a bunch of slow older guys who kind of want to work in the post.
Yeah.
How does that really how does LaMelo really benefit you in those scenarios?
But you're not bringing him in because we're trying to win right now with LaMelo Ball. It's to try to find somebody to age into the next era of Clippers basketball. And for as many flaws as he has, and obviously it's a very easy argument to make, that's also the only reason you'd have a chance to get him in the first place. If he was doing everything we want him to do, then Charlotte wouldn't even be thinking about it. And the Clippers, if you look down the line, it's like, great, okay, there's all these reasons not to like LaMelo. Who are you guys going to get? Who's going to be the next perfect guy that's going to be available for the Clippers to get? Because I don't think those guys are going to be trade bait or going to be free agents anymore. Teams aren't letting them go for nothing.
And LaMelo's contract just started. 24-25 was the first year of his extension, so he's locked in for the next 4 years. 38
Also,
million,
if he's blowing
41.
through red lights in Los Angeles, he's getting hit 10 out of 10 times.
That's actually
This ain't Charlotte, baby. If he's
That
running a
is-
red light outside the
Dude.
stadium, he is getting T-boned every single fucking time.
Yeah, you're trying to come out of that player garage without stopping, dude. Like you're
It's not
running
like he
over.
hasn't driven here. He lives here.
He hasn't driven the cars that he's peeling out in Charlotte here. He's going to run over. He's going to hit an orange cone that is going to hurt his low-profile car. I like the driving point. I think.
Who do you think would be happier about the Clippers trading for LaMelo Ball? Clippers fans or the front offices of the Thunder and 76ers?
That's a great way to put it. Probably not Clippers fans.
Well, I said the front office of the 76ers because I don't think Daryl Morey is going to be there after next season either, but
Well, he is
you
a
never
liar.
know.
Final target that has been talked about, not just this trade season, but every trade season that we've all been walking this big spinning rock we call Earth, is what it feels like. John Collins, power forward for the Jazz, whatever bad team that he plays for, which seems to kind of weirdly be a pattern with John Collins. Are we finally pulling the trigger on this? Is this the year that the Clippers get that 4 that we've so desperately craved?
Is he opting into the contract, Justin? Or is he becoming a free agent? This is what, 26 million?
Yeah, it's like 26. I don't know. I don't have any read on what he does there. I mean,
Your
there's
best
not a
friend, John Collins,
Yeah.
you don't know what he's going to do.
we always me and my guy JC. If there's one footprint in the sand, it's because he's carrying me. There's not a lot of money out there in this year's free agent market is the problem. It's like Brooklyn's the main team with now. That doesn't mean
Oh, no.
No, Justin cut out. He was about to let him have it.
They don't want the truth. They can't handle
Bro,
it.
Tim Cook heard him. He was like, he can't be saying these on my AirPods.
Maybe it was the JC blasphemy there.
That JC line was so funny. That's generally one of the funniest things someone's ever said
You
on
good?
the show.
we
You're
back.
good.
Okay,
You're back. Get on the soapbox.
I got two and tapped my frail microphone, and it decided to short out.
My frail microphone.
There's not a lot of money out there this offseason. It's really just Brooklyn, but that doesn't mean you can't acquire him. Via sign and trade. But if you sign and trade for him, you're hard capped. So like you're back in the same situation, which you're probably going to be hard capped either way. How much of what we saw out of him last year was real?
Welcome to every year that I feel like he's played. No one like the talking points for John Collins are he's athletic and he's young for what the Clippers can do. He's just kind of a more expensive Derrick Jones Jr.
His shooting was good this year. His shooting was good last year. It's very hard to put into context how good players are on bad teams, like towards the end of a year. He played like 3 of their last like 30 games. And in those games, what happened?
They got fined, Utah. When you're trying to evaluate Utah, it's really tough.
Yeah, I mean, he averaged like 20
Atlanta years then.
I think now here's the argument. John Collins in Utah is impossible to evaluate because Utah was terrible and they weren't trying to win. And they're not going to try to win next year either.
God, I hate Utah.
Simple as that.
They lost out in the draft.
Well, and one of the top picks next year, AJ DeBonsa, going to BYU, went to his last year of high school was spent in Utah. Basically, that is their last chance, essentially. If they don't get him, good luck to them, It's just the Clippers can't get John Collins. He's a very realistic get for them.
He's the most realistic of these 3.
It's just I don't.
Would they value Norman Powell?
Utah?
Yeah, like that's.
I think it would be a 3-teamer. Utah's not taking stuff back from that. Probably it's going to be like, hey, can you give us a pick? Because
3-teamers are tough.
Very tough.
We've seen it before. Malcolm Brogdon.
What would it be? It'd be like Norman. Oh, well, you can't trade Chris Dunn back to Utah. That's weird. But
I feel so bad for Chris Dunn. I'm like, hey, sorry, man. Thanks for everything you did. Back in the shithole that we got you.
Hey, Russell Westbrook got sent back there a couple times.
True.
So the alternative is like Norman Powell and Drew Eubanks is expiring, which maybe Utah does that if you throw in like a somewhat of a pick, I guess.
Is there a big Australian population in Utah? Would Eubanks feel at home there?
I have no idea. As someone who's walked the mean streets of downtown Salt Lake, I didn't see a lot of Aussies walking around, okay?
Yeah, you didn't see any big knives. No one walking around.
There's no great reef right there. Come on.
I don't hate the idea of John Collins. Like, as weird as it sounds, from a fit standpoint, John Collins fits a lot better for the Clippers than LaMelo Ball does, is how I would characterize that.
Sure.
The biggest issue with John Collins is, can he defend? Or is it still like the idea that John Collins can defend? Because they're 2 different things. Now, He did play next
In
to
a
a good.
vacuum? Yes.
He did play next to a good defensive center in Walker Kessler, so at least he knows how to operate there if he plays next to Zoo.
And Kawhi, like he'd be playing against you. Like that's not the worst.
Yeah, I don't hate the John Collins thing. It's just what does he cost? Like, if you give up Norman Powell, you're giving up the best player in the deal. Which that doesn't mean you don't do the trade because you're kind of swapping talent for fit, which is what they did last offseason by not bringing back Paul George and then bringing all these other guys in. Like, no, those guys were not as talented as Paul George, but they fit a little bit better on the margins. So there's that. I don't hate the John Collins idea on the Clippers. It's just, what are you giving up? And are you even giving up a pick? If you don't give up a pick, I think it's okay. I don't think you should give up a pick, to be fair.
Yeah.
2 seconds.
Yeah, I kind of want it to happen just
for 2 seconds.
Just satisfy all the Clippers fans that have been clamoring for this forever, and then watch them turn after he has 3 bad games in a row. Like,
we gave up 2 seconds.
Yeah,
for this.
I can see it now.
Let us know what you think at ClippersPod or at youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast about these trades. We know that you will.
I have 2 others to throw out real quick. Could I do it?
Fine,
absolutely.
Dude.
Okay.
Whatever, man.
So these are going in my article.
Is that an Intuit Dome water?
You saw nothing.
Okay, great.
You saw nothing.
I'm like Rainbolt, but with promotional free.
I feel like I got caught on air, man.
The Clippers were out of the playoffs, but I'm not leaving here with nothing.
That's right.
I'll try you with that trash bag.
Well, I'll throw out a first name that doesn't. I haven't worked out the trade details on this, but Goga Batazde as a backup center, I think it would be a great fit. Just throwing that out there. Now, the 2 trades I'm putting in my article for next week are, number 1, Lonzo Ball and Zach Collins for Norman Powell and Kobe Brown.
Yes.
So Zach Collins will be on an expiring deal, and it's not a cheap expiring either. It's like $13 million, I think, because we have to give Zach Collins almost $14 million in the NBA, I guess.
Cap goes up.
Yeah,
I like Zach Collins. I always have. He's like a One Tree Hill bad guy looking dude. I'm a fan.
Hell yeah, dude.
And I love Lonzo because that's going to bring in LaMelo.
So the idea
we're getting the whole family.
The idea with Lonzo being here is, yes, he's not the picture of health. Obviously, he does have knee issues that have dated back to high school, but he is a connector that does a role that you don't currently have, which is backup point guard, while also being able to be a defender. And he plays a little bit quicker of a tempo to where James doesn't have to always have the ball in his hands.
But then what happens when he misses 50 games?
Does it matter?
Yes, I think it does matter. I think the Clippers improved. It does matter.
Well, the counter to that would be, well, you're using your now you're using your MLE on not a center. Yeah, because you have Zach Collins, so you can find someone potentially on the perimeter to give you kind of like replacement level filler at that point.
Vort, right.
So there's that.
Clear.
Now the other trade, Norman Powell for Harrison Barnes.
I like Harrison Barnes. So yeah, sure.
Sure.
I'm with it.
I think that's the trade I've kind of settled on as, hey, this probably makes the most sense for both teams. San Antonio, they're most likely selecting Dylan Harper at number 2, assuming they don't trade a haul for Giannis, right? So the thought process would be, well, we still need more guard scoring. Like, they do need a guard scoring. Yeah. Stephon Castle, rookie of the year, had a great year, but not a guard scorer at this point. Not his fault. Chris Paul's most likely not coming back. And I do think Norm could fit alongside that San Antonio squad to where it gives them a little bit more offensive punch that they need. Harrison Barnes, I think, becomes a little bit reductive for them because they're going to have to likely make a decision between Harrison Barnes and Keldon Johnson. So I don't think they're not like for like, but I think there's a little bit of a crossover.
Keldon Johnson, yeah.
And also Jeremy Sohan. So there's that as well. I I think if the deal's Harrison Barnes for Norman Powell, it's not the worst deal in the world. Harrison's expiring just like Norm is. They make almost the same amount of money.
It might be the most uninteresting deal, but
That's what it
fine.
is.
Like, it's very boring, but it's not like
It's
I
like
think
when your
it's still
team
trading
selects
better
a
player for fit, but yeah.
It's like when your team selects a guard 23rd overall in the NFL draft, and you're like, sure, I guess the quarterback needs to stay alive this year.
I'm a Dolphins fan. We need that pick to work out. So
Yeah, I didn't mean to scar you a little bit, you know. Listen, my team has no quarterback, you know, so there's that.
Waiting for A-Rod.
Right.
Yeah, would we all? Will, you would do Harrison Barnes for Norm Powell?
Yeah, I like it.
Sure.
Harrison Barnes has taken way too much crap over the years for how good of a player he is. Remember, he got traded while being in the game a couple years
that's
back.
right. That was crazy.
You know what's crazy about that? He wanted to finish the game.
Damn.
They told him he was
hooper.
traded, and he was like, I want to finish the game. Like, okay.
I mean, I could see it.
Oh, he's actually younger than I thought too. He's only 33.
I thought he was 36.
And just turned 33 today.
Wow, happy birthday, Harrison.
Sorry, Harrison. Happy birthday. You're in a trade.
You're traded now. I like that idea. I think that's the best idea that's been proposed so far. All right, coming up, we are talking Jonathan Kuminga because we have two people who want Jonathan Kuminga, and I have flip-flopped as of this morning on wanting Jonathan
again.
Kuminga. Yep, it's the offseason, man. I'm just blowing in the wind. We're talking that, and then maybe should the Clippers sign CP3? And then all of us have a dip, so we're going to talk about that right at the very end. If you're listening to us on audio, there's going to be a quick break. If you're watching us, our beautiful faces are still here. Kuminga talk coming up in 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back into Clips and Dip. If you're listening, there was a slight break. If you're watching, which you should be, over on youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast, there is no break. We're here with you. We're here with Justin Russo, or Justin Rousseau, as he's known in French Canada. We talked some potential trade targets, some realistic, some not realistic. We got to circle back to something that on this podcast is one of our larger about faces that seems like it's now going to be an about face, wherein we, through the course of one episode, talked ourselves into Jonathan Kuminga. We talked about a potential number we would be willing to go on a contract, which I believe ended up in the 33 range. I believe it something around 33 a year. I believe it was 3 for 100, somewhere abouts there. Justin immediately hated this idea. He mentioned it in the media group chat. So we got to circle back. This is this is the final Kuminga conversation. Oh, what do we think about this? He's not. Oh yeah.
I want to preface it with there was another piece of Kuminga news that came out, and this is kind of what flipped me. This is from Anthony Slater. He said, Kuminga, league sources said, still has visions of becoming an all-star, not fitting into an ever-moving mid-tier rotation role. He wants to be a featured player in the NBA offense and chase the 20-point and beyond dreams he spent his life chasing in the last week of his 4th season tasting.
That's exquisite writing. That is incredible writing by Anthony Slater. First off,
it sounds like incredible. It sounds like a very nice statement written by someone's PR team. Is what it sounds.
No, I thought that was actually very eloquent. I was hooked.
That's what made me flip. Is I'm like, this is not like he already turned down the huge contract from the Warriors because he was like, I can definitely get more than this. Will not get more than that before this. It just doesn't seem like everything I'm scared off from this. I don't want to give him $30 million a year. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm out.
I will for just 3 years.
3 for 90. Who are we giving up in the trade? Did we talk about that?
I think Norm.
Bogey seems like a Warriors guy.
DJ maybe.
But I guess
I'm just like
none of Kuminga
and LaMelo aren't ideal. they're also available because they're not ideal, but they might turn into much better players down the line. And you have to take some big swings in this new CBA, I think. If you don't have your draft picks and you don't have high draft picks, even if you did have them, how are you going to find a young player that you can build around or that can be one of your main guys moving forward if you don't take some risks like these? I just don't know.
Justin, how do you feel?
Have you watched him play basketball?
Yeah, check out his last 3 games in the playoffs.
He was
Great.
tasting 20 points a game, dude.
Great. Playing a Minnesota team that had no worries in the world about a Warriors team that didn't have Steph. I say this with the thought of knowing Steve Kerr as a coach, if he's not putting you out there, it's for a reason. Like, I get it.
Jason Tatum agree?
Well, that's a different reason, but also, hey, maybe Steve Kerr is a wizard and foresaw what could happen to Jason down the line.
Oh, God.
He's a warlock.
To be fair, they did also win the gold medal.
In 6 games.
His dream is to chase 20 points a game. Great. Cool. No, like, what is that?
20 isn't even that high, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to be that guy, I don't know. Like, it was funny. I was like, why not 30?
20 is insane.
Is something lost in translation maybe a little bit with the quote?
Can you play some defense?
I was offered.
Can you give me 15 points a game in defense and rebounding? I don't need the extra 5 points. But that's not there. And it hasn't been. Kuminga's still young, and I think our phrasing of players when they're young is that they can always get better, and that's true, but progress is never linear in anything in life, and if you pay him $30 million next year, you're assuming he improves, but what if he doesn't? Now you're just stuck with a $30 million a year albatross that you can't move.
And you might not be happy. That's the other part, is it? Then it's like, then we're in another kind of weird era of Clippers locker room stuff, which might be not worth freaking out. But
I don't know.
My point is 30 is not going to kill you if it's only 3 years with how much room they're going to have coming up.
I think the 3 years, I like the 3 years.
I mean, you're paying a guy $30 million and he's maybe going to shoot 30% from 3 and as your 4, and that's just rough, like in this climate of what the Clippers need to build around Kawhi and James, or even going forward. Like, you shouldn't give a guy $30 million a year and be like, hey, in a couple years, this is our guy. When in a couple years, you have to repay him likely more money if you do think he's your guy.
If he fulfills some of that potential, you will. If not, you took a chance on a young guy. It didn't pan out. He's off the books.
But the problem with taking a chance on a young guy is there's a difference on taking a chance on a young guy at like $12 million a year and then doing it at 30 when you're going to run up against luxury tax and aprons and okay, if he doesn't pan out, now we got to try to move him, but who's taking him for 30 million? And it becomes taking flyers on guys, I think, is a lot harder now in this new CBA than it was in the past CBAs. And also, I think the biggest thing that actually works in Kuminga's favor is he was a lottery pick, and people care about that 5 years into the NBA career because they think there's some untapped potential, but that just means you stick around longer if you haven't been good. Like, it's just really that simple. I don't think he's been an impact player any of the years he's been in the league. Yeah, he had a great 3.5 games for the Warriors to end the season. It also was pointless. It didn't mean anything. And I'm very hesitant on a guy who can't shoot, isn't a good defender, can be a ball stopper, and not a high-level rebounder enough to fit in for $30 million a year. Like, if you're debating between him and John Collins, the difference between him and John Collins is John Collins rebounds better and can shoot. I'd rather pay John Collins $26.5 million a year over 30 to Kuminga.
It's just a ceiling thing. like who Kuminga could be versus who we know John Collins is.
Sure, but I think for the Clippers, they don't need to bank on what can be at this point of the time. They need to bank on what they know they're getting. And with Kuminga, you don't know.
Are we
Especially
sure? Are we sure they shouldn't bank on and take some risks right now? Like they should instead only do things that
Have proven to
solidify.
work. Yeah.
Like what are they in that place where we're still saying this is our year and they
Well,
need
it
to
was
do
our year
everything
last
to win a championship this year?
Have
Are
you
we
seen the
still in
West?
that place?
The West, for them, the puzzle of the West is there's one dominant team and everyone else is basically jumbled together. If you take the home run swing and it doesn't pan out, you're bottoming out. And now don't have a first round pick in 2026. And now you're a year longer into this run, and you're staring at the fact that, okay, well, James probably going to walk this offseason now. And now Kawhi's going to be an unrestricted free agent the year after. And basically you're burning through a year of Zoo's very valuable contract to take a swing on a guy who, if he doesn't pan out even in year one, now you're kind of out of any chance of having any type of playoff success because of the ramifications of what his contract will do. Like if you add John Collins instead of him into this current Western Conference climate, the odds of the Clippers having as good of a season as they did this year and potentially better is far more likely than it is if you add Jonathan Kuminga, even at the same price point.
I don't disagree with that. I just don't also know if it puts you over the top or brings you into a different level of the Western Conference. Maybe it could if everything goes your way, but Kawhi's going to be 34. James Harden's going to be 36. Is there going to be a point where you should think about the future a little bit more?
I think
LaMelo.
we need to. I think we need to get rid of the idea of put them over the top. There is no top. It's
put them into
be competitive.
A different tier of competitive teams in the Western Conference.
I
don't think that player's out there for not realistically.
Then does it not make sense to go for somebody that could help you now if he plays well and could help you in the future too?
I think you need to mitigate the floor versus look at the ceiling right now.
I'm with Will. I think there's
we're just not even close to the championship tier right now. We see the team that's at the top. We're not close. We're not a player away. Like we're not a player away. Neither of these guys that we're talking about is the young guy that's going to develop into the guy to make this team like competitive with that team. Not in their highest of projected ceilings right now. Maybe if they blow through that ceiling somehow, which I just wouldn't bet on. I think you need to mitigate the floor. Like you need to, hopefully make the picks that you still don't own the least desirable picks that you can. Stay competitive. Put asses in the seats and call it a day, man. Like that maybe you get out of a play. Maybe you can win a playoff series.
What I'll also say is
I think if you can do all that while trying to find a young guy that can help you now and in the future, that's the ideal spot to be.
What I'll say is if you look at the last offseason and going into this offseason and the things that they've said, risk is not something they're interested in. High level risk is not something they're interested in. Like letting Paul George go inherently is a risky move. I get that. But look at the guys they filled in with those are low risk players. Like those weren't super high variance players. They knew exactly what they were getting out of Derek and Chris Dunn. You don't know what you're getting out of Jonathan Kuminga. Like we could sit here and debate it for 3 hours that Jonathan Kuminga could do this. He might not be able to do this, but you just don't know. Like John Collins, I'm just using him as an example. You know what John Collins will give you. It might infuriate you half the season and it might not, but you know what John Collins is going to give you. With Kuminga, from a night-to-night perspective, you have no idea what's going to happen with the shot, his defense, his playmaking, anything. I
think there's a lot of Clippers fans that would favor some of the unknown and the mystery box right now, honestly. And by the way,
that's just
let's not forget Kuminga. If he's included in that trade for Paul George, the Clippers might have done it.
They needed a little bit more than Kuminga.
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
Kuminga would have been the big get there, and that's why the Warriors wouldn't do it.
But
they
wasn't
didn't,
wasn't the apron stuff still the issue too? Like because
yeah,
they would be taking on just as much money.
and also
I don't know,
Pods wasn't available in the trade either.
but that
The
was the
problem
major hang up, not getting Kuminga
the problem
included.
the major hang up was that Paul George wanted to go to Golden State and didn't want Golden State to give up anything for him. That was the major hang up. Paul George was like, I want to go to Golden
I mean,
State. And then he didn't, but he wanted to go to Golden State with certain guys still there. And one of the certain guys was Kuminga and Pajemski. And it was like, well, what the hell do you want us to trade for then?
the
Maybe Paul
reporting
George
says the Clippers wanted young guys, and everybody said they want Kuminga. That's what it said.
Are we gonna get a podcast P where he does a revisionist history on the trade and says that he never wanted them to trade Shea when he wanted to come to the Clippers? We're getting that at some point, right? We're getting that revisionist history, just like we've gotten the Doc revisionist history that he knew that he was going to be special, despite not playing him until a season-ending injury to Avery Bradley.
If Indiana wins, he's got to say something about the joke of Paul George helped build both these teams that are in the NBA Finals. He has to acknowledge it to some level.
That he should, but that would make good content, which he does not make. So I'm interested to see if he's able to make that.
Okay. I preface this by saying Paul George, great to deal with media-wise, always was willing to talk. And I did appreciate that. I don't think Clipper fans understand. There are certain times players don't want to talk, and that's not great.
And this is also a franchise that does not grant access at all.
We're not
for fans, just to level set.
Has the most mind-numbing clips I've ever seen from a podcast. Just it's insane, man.
Drivel.
Can there be a producer in the room?
I thought he did the right thing when he came back and brought on a guy criticizing him the entire time. I think that was smart. Yeah. I know it's convenient to always just hate on Paul George, but I think that's exactly how you had to do it if you're going to come back, and he did it.
I'm excited for part 2 of that in about a year. I mean, credit to Paul George.
If nobody was watching, it wouldn't still be there.
Well, yeah.
Tobias Harris over you, buddy. Like, that's literally what a fan was just like in his face. Like, come on, man. And I get it. You have to roll with the punches. And I think athletes get a lot of crap from fans in public that should never even happen at all.
Yeah.
Especially today.
Of course.
Yeah, it's just very funny. Like, a fan was like, with how much they hated Tobias Harris, and a fan walked up and was like, Tobias Harris over you. Like, come on, man. Like, it's like, damn.
Come on, man. It's Philly. Remember the Aguilar guy? No, like Aguilar. I caught the baby.
All right, come on. So we've settled it. We're all against Kuminga.
Well, except for Adam. Adam
no, I
know.
3 years, 100 million. Count me in.
How does it keep going up and buddy? Like
90, whatever, around there.
After taxes.
3 years, 150.
We are talking, should the Clippers sign a former Clippers legend? And then breaking out all our dips, because I'm assuming we all have dips. If you're listening to us, it's going to be a quick audio break. If you're watching us at youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast, we're still here. We're still hanging out. Dip talk coming up in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back in. It's Clips and Dip, episode 69 of season 3. I'm Adam Moslin. We got Chuck Mockler, Will Updike, and special guest Justin Russo joining us here. So Justin has returned to the podcast. Could there be a Clippers player returning? A former one, now with San Antonio. We talked about Harrison Barnes a little bit earlier. Chris Paul, interested in leaving the Spurs? Still lives here in Southern California, I believe. Would he be welcome back? What do you think the reception would be like if he was interested in returning to the Clippers, Justin?
I don't hate it. Yeah. He left on very good terms. It wasn't like this contentious.
Yeah.
It wasn't a contentious split. If you ever see him and Steve at games, Steve Ballmer, they're always they always are very friendly and talking. Like they always have been, even after that offseason trade was made.
And that helped the Clippers, by the way, like in that rebuild.
Yes.
I mean, it ended up working out for us all right.
You remember how Sam Decker was the prize of that trade?
Do I ever?
Oh, yeah.
Where was everyone when that broke, you know?
He was going to be the next Chandler Parsons, they said, I think.
Some say the original Jonathan Kuminga.
Yep. That I've heard that a lot this offseason.
Some have said. I don't hate the Chris Paul return. I think it'd be a nice little.
Waiting for Justin's audio to return.
Russo cut out. They hate the truth, man.
Nice little full circle moment for CP3, even though he didn't start with the Clippers. He did have his best years there.
You're
Yes.
No, am I back?
You're back.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I
Very
gotta stop
good.
hitting the phone. This is terrible.
So it's gesturing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I talk with my hands.
Slandering Kuminga, man.
You Italian. You're so Italian, Russo.
I know. I think it'd be a nice little bow on his career to kind of come back to the Clippers and kind of just end it there. And he does fill a need. They need a backup point guard. They don't need a backup point guard who plays 20 minutes a night or anything. So, like, are there going to be nights where he could do that? Sure. He's just a very safe, risk-free player that I think can fill a need. Now, the downside to it is somehow, I don't know how, the Clippers will play even slower, which
Right.
is a miracle in and of itself. I don't know how. And they don't need to do that. So I don't know. I wouldn't hate it. And it's one of those low risk minimum signings that you just don't care about at the end of the day.
He
I'd
played
be with
all 8. Did he play all 82 games last season, by the way?
He
in
did.
San Antonio?
Yeah.
Pretty remarkable. I wouldn't hate it. I know people, he's one of those players, you love him when he's with you and you hate him when he's gone because of the antics and stuff. And how things ended in the playoff series in 2021 in the Western Conference Finals with him doing the Clippers in that game 6 and then the push in the back from Patrick Beverley. Things were a little sour there, but he was at a playoff game recently.
I was going to say he was into it. I think he might have been there for game 4. He was into it. Like, it's not. I think people would be pretty hyped. Like,
Enough
Not
time has
Joseph, but-
passed.
enough time's passed. It wasn't contentious when they left or when he left. Like,
Chris Paul or Patty Mills, though.
ooh. Well, I don't want to break up the Australian trio of Ben Simmons, Patty Mills, and Jrue Eubanks. Yeah, I do. Yeah, Chris Paul, because he made $10 million last year. Like, has he hit some weird mark where you have to pay him $10 million? Like, or what is his min? Can he take him in?
You could tell me any amount
You
of
can
money he
take him
made
in
last year. I would have
anytime.
believed it.
Oh. Well, you know what I mean? Like, after a certain years of service, like, does it go up from, like, the regular min? Is there, like, an ultra vet
He
min?
set these rules too, right?
Yeah, that's true. He wrote all this shit. CJ McCollum put a clause in the new CBA that if your name is Chris Paul, you have to get paid $15 million.
Well, the NBA pays teams back the amount of money they spend on minimums for vet minimums.
Oh, there we go.
So, like, only a certain percentage of it counts against the actual cap.
So if an owner really wanted to save money, he could just sign 15 vet minimum contracts.
Yeah, but there's a salary floor.
Well, okay, fine. They'd hit it somehow. One guy gets the salary floor.
Jonathan Kuminga, $70 million a year.
Batmans.
Yeah, exactly. LaMelo and 14 vet mins. You surround them with enough vets, one of them will work. PJ Tucker's available for sure. And Gershon Yabusele. All right.
The dancing bear. We need
He
that
might be a
guy.
Clipper.
He could be.
All right. Dip talk. We're doing dip talk. Rousseau, you're the first guest of the offseason.
I gotta go grab it though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Wolfam.
go do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take us on a tour of your home.
Fucking guy doesn't like Kuminga. What is this?
I was going to say, should we revisit the Kuminga conversation with
fucking-
Russo out of the room? Should we see if we can...
Like, what are his ideas for who the Clippers are getting? What is this? I didn't hear a damn
Adam, do you want to
thing.
see if you can flip Chuck and I once again? On the
Oh,
Kuminga
one
thing?
more thing about the Chris
Yeah.
Paul thing. The
Chuck
marketing
doubled
team-
back.
Absolutely, I doubled back. I told you I'm blowing in the wind, man. The Chris Paul thing would be a dream for the marketing team. They'd make their jerseys would be sold. It'd be huge for marketing.
If he had anything close to the level of health and good fortune he had this past year with the Clippers, that would be awesome as your
It'd be
backup
rad.
point guard.
Yeah.
By the way, I could hear you talking shit, Adam.
I was like, hey, he has AirPods in.
Me? You should have heard what Chuck and Will said.
Yeah. We were speaking in sign language. You couldn't see shit.
That's right.
Can Chris Paul wave a towel like Patty Mills though? Come on.
That's true. That's a very good point.
Come
Why,
on.
por qué no los dos? Why not both?
Listen, his towel wave over replacement, you can't beat it.
Sky high. Man, Will and I used to do Terrence Mann Vorp Watch, which was always funny.
I remember
every
that.
year he was just like, he's a replacement. He's pretty much right at a replacement.
Did you see his tweet the otber day about like why do all the best ideas happen on the 405?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you, I'm very excited to not have to have driven on that freeway like the last month. It's been great.
Yeah, it's got to be nice. Yeah.
My mental health has never been better.
Noted. Well,
Run down your commute time for the people who don't know, because a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people who watch the show have seen your coverage. I don't know if they know, like, Justin is like about this. Justin is committed to this in a way that, yeah, follow him, get on his Patreon. Come on, folks.
Some days it can take me 2 hours to get there. Getting back is easy. I always usually get back in like an hour.
Oh, okay.
But getting
never mind.
Yeah, I have it easy, you know.
I take back everything I said.
I've been doing Sparks coverage and going to Staples. I'm calling it Staples. The other name doesn't exist.
Quite literally.
It is such night and day. I was sitting on the 101 stuck in traffic and I was like, oh, I'm 6 miles from Staples and I'm actually okay. Like 6 miles from Intuit, I want to like drive off the goddamn overpass and like it's brutal. Downtown LA, I'm like, I know these streets. I could just zip through. I'm great. It's fantastic. And then getting down to Staples takes me about an hour 40. That's in heavy traffic.
Okay.
To Intuit, I can take me up to 2 hours, even longer if there's heavy traffic. On afternoon days, if they have like an afternoon practice, it can take me about an hour and 10.
Damn, yeah, you're doing practice too. I forget about that.
I actually tabulated it. I think I ended up doing, I think it was like something like 75 hours of driving this year.
Damn.
Yeah, I lost days of my life covering this team. So I hope people understand what I'm doing.
Understand the grind, folks.
Yeah, we're giving you some 20 cents per gallon or something like that.
I feel like people, and I don't mean this isn't like against fans in general. I just mean like I'm just saying like I don't think people understand the amount of time. Like I think there's like a misconception that when you cover a team, you just show up when the game starts, and then your day's over when the game ends. It's not. Now, it's better than like people who work regular 9 to 5s. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you know, it's like the hardest job in the world.
Fired by Russo.
Yeah, wow, this is starting a real class war over here.
No, I'm saying people definitely work a lot harder.
All those slobs that work 9 to 5s.
I'm just saying, like, the hours are very long. It's the drive time that I think is the most killer of anything.
Yeah, you live in like Vacaville, right?
You could say any city. People probably believe it, you know?
Montreal?
I'm living out in Yermo. Yeah. Just driving in.
I'm like, you better check in with me when if you ever come over to Sylmar. Okay, what is your dip?
Okay.
And what are you eating it with? Because I kind of...
Oh.
Yeah.
That was a lot of dip.
Okay, so some classic tortilla chips. Miss Vicky's?
No. They're Las Norteñas.
Okay, I don't.
Sorry,
I mean it in a mean
uncultured
way.
swine.
I just didn't know what brand it was. You know what? We should get Kuminga.
This is nopales salsa from the
Okay.
local place, and yeah, I'm just enjoying this. It's great.
That
looks gorgeous.
Where did you get it? What local place?
There's a local market in town. I think it's just called La Bodega, and
Great.
yeah, it's fantastic. I can say it, so that's great. You know.
Would you bring that dip to a barbecue? Is that
absolutely?
It looks really good.
Come on now.
All right.
The fact that the fact that this was like your go-to right after waking up from a nap tells me that you would absolutely bring it to a barbecue. This is an old standby for you. This is
Listen,
I love this.
As the quintessential fat guy, I know food. Okay.
Nothing worse than a fat guy who has horrible taste in food. You're like, what are you even doing, man?
What are you here for, you know?
Adam Oslin, your dip. And Vessel.
So I got a little boar's head spinach Greek yogurt dip here.
Wow.
It is quality.
The budget for the
$6.99 at my
dips
pavilions.
has gone up.
But even more interesting is lentil chips, aged white cheddar, really
Hey,
good.
Okay.
I cleaned it out quick.
Damn.
Never have this.
But-
I've never seen this.
Yeah, it was my first time seeing it
Haven't
too.
seen
I was
this.
looking for like a protein chip or some low carb thing. I was like, lentil chip, let's go. It works. I'm bringing it to the barbecue all day.
Hell yeah. Will, are you really excited about yours? Mine is pretty good, but if yours has more production, we can save it for last.
No, mine is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not breaking the mold here or anything. I got a queso dip. It's actually a brand I've never had before. This is the Don Pancho.
Sure.
This is a white queso
Don.
dip.
They call me down in the reins.
If you've been watching the show over on youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast, you would have seen me eating this through the entire episode. It's very, very tasty. I heated it up a little bit. For me personally, it could use a little bit more spice.
Yeah.
I'm eating it with just a classic chicharron. Lately, I'm normally a spicy chicharron guy. Lately, I've been feeling just the classic because it's a little bit more versatile if you want to do some weird shit with it.
I did mine I did classic on the mayo ketchup I made from
You could just,
the
yeah,
recipe
it's
last
just a little bit more versatile. I like this queso dip. I would definitely bring this to a party. It's just a little bit. This is another one I would probably doctor up a little bit. I think maybe
Sure.
toss a few. You toss maybe some grilled peppers in there, maybe a few herbs. I think you got something that's great. There's no way that this wouldn't be a crowd pleaser. I would just, if I was going to somebody's barbecue, I would have to put a little bit more effort into it to feel happy.
Sure.
If your dip was a James Harden performance from this season, which one would it be?
Ooh. Game.
There was not a
Game
lot
2.
of playoff games to choose from. Yeah. Something to build on.
Game 2 of the series.
They did not build after that game. Okay, 3 for 3. So I went dip-wise, I went with a classic on this show. Fritos hot bean dip with the jalapeno in there. You heat it up in the microwave. It's supposed to be hot. It's a phenomenal dip. Chip-wise.
Are you recycling dips, Chuck?
Just this time, yes. But because there's a reason behind it. This is not from last year. I want to make that clear. This is a new.
It'll still be good.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't go bad.
Yeah, man.
Chip wise, because we kind of broke a story last year on this pod, which was the chip of the summer. The Lay's Cuban sandwich chip of the summer was a pretty big moment on this podcast. I'm trying to search around for the next chip of the summer.
The realest scoop we've ever had on this show.
The only one that people should trust us on.
That's a great pun, by the way. The realest scoop we've ever had.
Hey,
Yeah,
there we
it's
go.
good.
I went with Lay's Valentina and Lime is the chip. So I went a little out of the usual bounds with the chip. Not quite the chip of the summer. A delicious mix with this hot bean dip. Cannot recommend it enough. Would bring this combination to a barbecue. People would enjoy it, I think. They did a weirdly good job with the Valentina and lime flavor paired with the jalapeno and the bean dip. You can't go wrong at a barbecue with it.
So would you say the chip is like Wemby and the dip is just Tim Duncan, steady as can be?
The chip is not Wemby. The chip is not a generational prospect.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Is it
The
LaMelo?
Then, huh?
So the Zachary Risochet of chips?
Yeah, actually. I would go with that. And it's not LaMelo. LaMelo's chip, I feel like the bottom of the bag would have to open and all of them would have to spill
It's
out.
the 3D Doritos.
1 out of 3 every 3 bags is just filled with
One
with
chip.
gas and nails.
Yeah, exactly. And they cost kind of a lot.
It's like when you go to rip the bag open and it doesn't give you that perfect like split at the top.
It goes
Yeah, and then like it just falls and you're like, what the hell do I do?
every
with this?
Trader Joe's bag of chips. Those people don't know how to make a bag that opens normally. So we
Speaking
went.
wait, hold on. You mentioned Trader Joe's. I have to mention
Sure,
something.
go off. King.
Sorry. Have you seen are you guys like well versed in Trader Joe's snacks?
Pretty well, yeah.
Okay. Have you stumbled upon the snack that is like the chocolate with like pretzel and like the crunchy.
Jingle
I can't describe it.
jangle?
It's like a black bag with the like yellow like coloring.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Is
Yeah.
it the bark thing?
No, it's
The
not bark.
chocolate,
I
dark
can't remember the
chocolate
name of
bark?
it. I can't
You
remember
bought
the
it
name
because you
of
thought it was Steelers candy?
No, I didn't think it was Steelers candy. Okay. Listen,
Well,
sometimes you
Steelers
just
candy's pretty cool.
sometimes. No, not the other bag. The other bag. I have someone here who's giving me the
I was
bag.
like, were you just talking to your dog? That's a crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
command
there it
your
is.
dog
The
does.
snacky clusters. Here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you to whoever's bringing you this. We don't. Okay,
Yeah,
it's
they're
weird, but I can
great.
read it. Yeah.
Crack.
They're really good.
Okay, noted.
Just telling you.
All right.
That-
Well, damn. Maybe we should do like a chocolate. So we're gonna have to start flipping the game a little bit. Maybe do a chocolate dip, more of a dessert.
But yeah, we've never done a sweet dip, I don't think, on
Mm-mm.
this show, have we?
I don't think so.
Because the show's sweet enough with you three on it.
Wow.
Oh,
All right. And
wow.
on that note, we're gonna be back next week, most likely. Reviews help. Will, where could people give us dip recipes also? Because we've already made one that was really good. Will, where can people tell us what they thought of the show? Compliment our mic usage, because we've all been eating chips this whole episode and you could not tell at all, which is difficult.
No, yeah, no one got the mute of shame.
The 10
You
minute
can listen to the
mute.
show wherever you get your podcast. If you happen to listen over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, go ahead, leave a little rating and review. It helps us out. You can leave your dip recipes. You can leave comments on every episode of Spotify, which is cool, but also every YouTube video. That's at youtube.com/Clippers podcast. I'm not sure if I said it my contractually obligated amount of times this episode, but I think I got close. I'll just give it one more time. youtube.com. That's /Clippers at Clippers podcast. So that's where you can check us out. And leave your dip recipes. We want to know. But yeah, however you listen, however you watch this show, we appreciate you.
We
Do Will and Adam
absolutely
beat
do.
you if you don't put in the amount of times that you have to say it?
I don't get to wear a hat. I think that's one of the punishments on the show is you don't get to wear a hat.
I've been
And sometimes you need the hat.
Sometimes you need the hat. Justin Russo, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for the coverage for the Clippers. Where can people find your fantastic work?
You can find me on Substack at justinrusso.substack.com. As I mentioned, I'm covering the LA Sparks during the downtime of the Clipper season. I'm still putting out Clipper stuff, though. And I am looking quite likely to do coverage for LAFC and Angel City FC if people are interested in soccer.
Oh, shit. Hell yeah.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
I'll be going down there, potentially going down there for games. Or excuse me, matches. I gotta.
God, you gotta
Sorry.
grow. You better fit in, man. You
Oh,
gotta get
yeah.
your ass beat
I'm
down
sorry.
there.
Sorry. But yeah, so if you want to see,
the match.
so if you want any stuff, you can go to the Substack and I'll be there. Beyond that, no, I've just, it's been a great offseason actually for me. I will say this, it's good. It's great to always see you guys. And I think Chuck knows this. I don't know if you guys know this. I still have a GIF saved of Chuck from one of the podcast episodes this year where he's just sitting here like this and he just goes, and I just want you to know, it's in my GIF rotation.
Hey,
and I have
all
used it
right.
in various group chats.
I get paid half of a penny every time someone uses that gift. So let's get that out of there.
Listen, Steve Ballmer's got to compensate you one way,
Yeah, well,
These
for
tanks
sure.
aren't going to pay for themselves.
Exactly. Maybe a little closer than row 4. Adam, you have the hardest job on this podcast. One positive thing to send these Clippers fans out this weekend.
All right. You know what? I gave you guys some ammo. @follow Adam A. Over the next 2 or 3 weeks, as the Oklahoma City Thunder go on to win the championship and SGA is the finals MVP, I would recommend looking for a tweet that I'll probably pin to my profile that reviews all the reactions to the initial trade back in 2019 between the Clippers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, because a lot of those same media talking heads that will be dunking on the Clippers very often right now and saying, how could you have traded SGA and all these picks? They did not say that at the time of the trade. I don't know if this will make you feel better. I don't know if it will just help you in an argument. I don't know if you just are interested to see what Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp were arguing about back then. But maybe check out the video. I keep the receipts. So I did for this trade as well. And it's up @follow Adam A.
It is. It's also up on our pod. We just retweeted it. It's a fantastic cut. I watched the whole thing. Don't know if it made me feel better, but I went, hell yeah, for most of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Nothing's going to make us feel better, obviously.
Fine, no. Thank you everyone for hanging out. Like I said, we'll be back next week. And as always, let's go Clips.